Hey guys, I just want to preface this entire video. This is my first ever video essay, any kind of YouTube video that I've ever put any actual effort into. Not those crappy little live streams I used to do. So if there's anything I should work on, or formatting, or energy, wording, video editing, anything, be sure to let me know and I'll definitely work on it for my next video. And thank you, and let's begin. What scares you? Is it something you can't help but cower from? Some uncontrollable phobia that you've never been able to shake? Or is it something you know the weakness of? You know how to overcome it, you just can't find the courage to overcome it. Arkham Asylum is a game all about overcoming your fears and preventing them from stopping you. A game that is repeatedly noted by several avid fans of the Arkham series as having the best atmosphere of the tetralogy. I've seen lots of videos talking about Arkham Batman and discussing his psyche and his abilities, and I mean lots of videos, enough to make Ra's al Ghul jealous with how much time I've wasted just watching videos and deep dives into the Arkhamverse. But forget the videos, let's talk about my love for the series. I grew up, and I mean I grew up, playing Batman Arkham Asylum on my black Xbox 360. The reason for the quotes around playing is because I was like 4 or 5, if not younger, so I watched my babysitter play while I sat there most likely eating grilled cheeses because I was unable to comprehend the game. I could tell what was going on, I just didn't have the fine motor controls of being Batman and playing as Batman. I was just so young that I'm not even sure my hands could actually fit around the controller enough to reach the joysticks and the buttons, but that doesn't limit my love for the game and the character of Batman in the Arkhamverse. Being honest, my love for Batman and Batman toys never ended. As a kid, I had plenty of Batman toys, but now I think I have more than I used to. Now they're collector's items to me. They're not toys, as a lot of people would call them. I do reference them as toys sometimes, but they're collector's items because they show where I've come from and my favorite comic book character of all time. I mean, the centerpiece of my collection is the 1989 Batman and Batmobile bundle from McFarlane. I'll try to remember to put a picture of that on the screen, but if not, that's all you have to look up if you're curious as to what the bundle looks like. It's just Batman and the Batmobile from the 1989 Michael Keaton movie. But I started my collecting less than a year ago, and I have 43, I think, total figures, just figures in my collection. But the first figure, the one that got me into the addiction, the one that fueled all of this, was the one from my childhood. Batman Arkham Asylum Batman was the first ever Batman that I picked up. Any figure that I picked up in later years of life, where I decided, hey, I might start collecting these because they're cool. I want to pose them on my shelf to where people can see them. And I'm proud of my collection. I'm proud of where I've come from, what I like, and I just love Batman. He's such a good figure, and he's such a good character, and he's such a good, relatable storyboard piece of art. I'm going to call him a piece of art because his story, his character, it's instantly recognizable, and people wonder why Batman's my favorite superhero. He's so simple, yet so complex. Such a well-written character, someone written with such philosophy that he's just my favorite character. So going into this video, just know that my wording and my philosophy behind all of this is going to be a little bit biased. I have loved Batman since day one. I mean, I've been a Batman fan since I could speak the words Batman. It's just always been something that has been my favorite character, my favorite superhero. And it's going to show in every video I ever do about superheroes or video games or anything. It shows through because these are the games I think of. Batman Arkham Asylum is the game I think of when I think of my childhood and video games, or just video games, to be honest. Sit down, I can't wait for Batman Arkham Shadows to come out. I think that's what the new one's called. But these are the basics. These are where I've come from. These games are the kind of games that help forged me into the kind of person I am. Yeah, other life experiences, whatever, but these play into who I am more than people realize, because it's my humble beginnings. It's where I come from. But it's time to start the breakdown. It's time to talk about what this video is about, what you've seen in the thumbnail and what you've seen in the title. It's time to do a breakdown of every Scarecrow encounter in Batman Arkham Asylum. Not only am I going to cover what happens to Batman and what happens with Scarecrow, I'm going to cover what it tells us about Scarecrow and what it tells us about Batman, because I think these scenes are the scenes that we see the cracks through the facade of Batman. We see who he is deep down inside, past the grim, I'm Batman, past all of his coping mechanisms and past all of his everything he's put in the way of his true self. So I'm going to cover everything that it tells us about Scarecrow, everything it tells us about Batman, everything it tells us about Batman's history, how it's affected him, the kind of effects it has on his mind. And there might be a lot of videos covering this, but I haven't really seen any talking about it the way that I want to talk about it, and I've never made a video before, so I figured, you know what, I'll spend 3 days making a script that's only like 1,700 words, but hey, it's something I want to talk about with hopefully somebody that can find the content that will find it enjoyable. So let's move forward past this random tangent I've gone on. So let's actually begin with the breakdown. Going forward, I'll play the clip of the encounter and then mention key concepts after I play the clip. And I won't play the whole Scarecrow level, just the important parts, i.e. the lead up and anything I want to touch on. So if it jumps to certain parts and doesn't show the entire level, it's because I'm sure if you're watching a Batman Arkham Asylum video, you've seen the Scarecrow level before. So there's no point, and the gameplay doesn't have any effect on the topics I want to cover. So I'll just play the clips to the parts that I want to talk about to save us all some time here. With that out of the way, let's finally play the first clip.
There is no crane. They're all over me! Only Scarecrow. Tell me, Bats, what are you really scared of? Failing to save this cesspool of a city? Not finding the commissioner in time? Me? In a song?
Please help me, Batman! I'm sorry, Jim. Barbara. I'm sorry. I was too late.
I'm sorry. The number you dialed isn't available. Please leave a message after the tone.
Barbara, are you there?
Please hang up your phone.
Father?
You should have stood up to him, son. Like a man.
Mom?
Help us, Bruce! Don't let us die!
What are you doing, little bat?
Okay, so I'm kind of going to talk about these things in order as they appear. So the first thing we see is Dr. Jonathan Crane, who is Scarecrow. somebody cries out whenever we first see the room of people that he's affected with his fear gas. Someone cries out, "Please, Dr. Crane, don't do this." But Scarecrow responds with, "There is no Crane, only Scarecrow," which I think is a neat little parallel. If it was intentional or not, I might be reading too much into it, but it might be a neat little parallel to how Batman is often portrayed. Bruce Wayne is dead, Bruce Wayne is gone, but the Batman remains. Batman will always remain, but Bruce Wayne is the fake identity in Batman's mind. In Batman's mind, the only true identity is Batman. Just like how Dr. Jonathan Crane says, there is no Jonathan Crane, only Scarecrow. So there could be a parallel there. I could be thinking too far into it. So take it with a grain of salt, but that's the way I look at it. I think it's a neat little parallel. It might not have been intentional, but I like to think it was. Okay, I just want to mention this. It's not a major talking point, and I won't talk about it again. But you really gotta love Mark Hamill's performance as Joker, and I really hope this was improvised, because it would talk a lot about how well Mark Hamill understood this character. He talks directly to Batman using the intercom and says, "What are you really afraid of? Failing to save the city? Or me in a thong?" And this, whenever I first heard this was an amazing line that I had never picked up on before, and I really loved it because it really speaks to the relationship that Joker and Batman have. Batman doesn't respond to this line by Joker. He presses forward and just ignores him. But Joker cracks jokes nonetheless. He's always cracking jokes. He's always laughing. Like, even in City, whenever Batman tells him, "I would have saved you. I would have saved you, but you doomed yourself." And Joker laughs in the face of death. Laughs and chokes on his laugh as he dies. And it speaks to the relationship between Batman and Joker more than I ever even noticed, because I didn't even notice this line to begin with. So it really speaks to Mark Hamill's performance as Joker, and it really highlights the relationship between the Batman and the Joker. I'm just going to talk about this very slightly now because it is a major talking point that I'm going to bring back up later. I just want to bring some attention to it now. Notice how when Jim Gordon's dragged away, Batman says nothing. He keeps a cold, stoic look on his face because he still believes that there might be a chance to save Jim, and he doesn't show emotion. Batman doesn't show emotion. So he keeps this cold, stoic look, doesn't say a word until he reaches Jim's body. And this is the first time this character of Batman has showed emotion pretty much since the game has begun. Since the introduction of Arkham Batman, this is the first time we see him show emotion. And it's when he fails to save someone that is as close to him as Jim Gordon. The next little thing is that when Batman tries to reach Barbara Gordon over the comms, that Barbara is not on the other line anymore. He reaches a dial tone, which it can freak you out a little bit, but it definitely helps to build the atmosphere of the game because it makes you realize, oh crap, Barbara was who we talked to figure things out, how we figured out what's going on the outside world. So this reaching a dial tone instead of being able to reach Barbara creates a sense of isolation that affects both Batman and Barbara Gordon. And the player, not Barbara Gordon. But another thing that I noticed when editing the clip down to where I could use it in that part of the video where I could show it, I never noticed this before, but whenever you walk and you step on the cockroaches crawling across the floor, they squish. Like, you can actually hear them when you step on them, which also probably helps in the subconscious to build fear, if that makes sense, because a lot of people are scared of cockroaches, which is fair. Obviously, flying indestructible bugs sent from Hades, But yeah, I just wanted to point that out too, that they make a squish noise when you step on them, which can definitely unsettle some people. This is another clip that will be a bigger talking point later on in the video whenever I start to do a breakdown and mini psychoanalysis, because I'm not good at these. It's just something I want to do. But notice that he goes into the morgue, there's 3 body bags, and The first one is his father. No matter which one you pick first, it's always going to be Thomas Wayne. And Thomas Wayne looks at his son in the face, who has become Batman. And of course this is a hallucination, but he says, you should have stopped him. You should have stopped Joe Chill, or the guy that killed his parents. And I think it really speaks to Batman's character more than some people realize. The next one is his mother, who was second to die in Crime Alley. And then behind zipper number 3 is Scarecrow, who jumps out, jump scares the player, and then you finally switch over to Scarecrow's world. You go from what could still be the asylum, you could just be like out of it a bit, but then you turn around after Scarecrow puts you under, and you turn around and look, and you're in Scarecrow's world now. This is something completely different. Also, something else that I want to mention is that it could also speak to say that Batman is insane like the rest of the people he tries to stop. Or he could just be like the Scarecrow, someone who uses fear to his advantage to help take down his enemies, because Batman hangs from the shadows. He hangs on the gargoyles and drops down when people least expect him. He scares them. That's part of his whole regimen. But maybe it speaks to how he's insane, maybe it speaks to how he's like Scarecrow, but notice that when the lightning flashes in certain parts of the platforming parts of the Scarecrow levels, so basically the main part of the Scarecrow levels, when the lightning flashes, your character model switches from Batman to Scarecrow, and then the next time it flashes, you switch back to Scarecrow. It's something that, or you switch back to Batman. It's something that a lot of people can definitely miss their first time playing, or if they're not even paying attention. I could see how a seasoned player could easily miss that, because it's such a quick little rapid fire thing there that a lot of people could easily miss. So I could see how people could miss that. And last but not least, we're just going in order here. Something that's going to be in every Scarecrow encounter, so I'm just going to bring attention to it. You turn the bat signal against the Scarecrow to finally exit the level. So it kind of serves as a catalyst to Batman breaking free. But I'll talk about that more later, and the kind of implications that I perceive that it has on the character of Batman. Now, with that out of the way, here are some of the key moments from the second encounter with Scarecrow.
I can't believe you insisted on sitting through that movie again, Bruce. Come on, we'll be late for Alfred.
I'm sorry, Daddy. Go easy on it, Tom. He loved it so. Alfred will wait. Keep up, Bruce. Where are you taking us?
We can cut through here.
But it's starting to rain. Bruce is tired. Can't we just wait for him here?
Come on, keep up. We're nearly...
Hold it there, man.
Please, there's no need for this.
Stay where you are. I'll shoot.
I'll give you whatever you want.
Tom! Oh God! Oh God, Tom!
Be quiet, lady. Just shut up.
Stay away from me! Run! Mommy!
Come on, kid, this way. Take a seat in my office.
Is he okay?
He'll be fine. Kid like that with all that money, he'll be just fine.
Shut up, now. He's 8 years old and all alone. Money won't fix that.
Whatever you say, Gordon. His butler's on his way to pick him up. You hear that? He's got a butler.
I'm sorry about that. I just need to ask you some questions. Can I get you anything? You okay? I know you don't feel like answering me, but it's the only way to catch who did this.
Why did you do it, officer? Why?
I don't know. It's this city. There's something wrong with it. And listen, son. Call me Jim.
Okay, so I took a quick break and I went and got something to drink to clear my voice back up. So with that, let's get back into what each clip means. The first clip is just a little nod to this not being real. Whenever you enter a new room in Batman Arkham Asylum, a text will appear in the top part of the screen, tells you what room you're in, but this time it doesn't say a room. It doesn't even say a part of the asylum. It says Wayne Manor, and that's obviously a dead giveaway to, hey, this isn't real. I'm not at Wayne Manor. There's no possible human way I could go from a part of the asylum and walk through a door and be in a completely different part of the Gotham universe. So that's a neat little something that kind of shows that this isn't real, and it's something that a lot of players could miss on their first time and even season times through, because a lot of people just don't pay attention. Okay, so the second and third clip kind of go hand in hand. They're both speaking lines. They're both something that characters are saying, either it be Jim Gordon, Thomas, or Martha Wayne. It's speaking clips. So those, I'll talk about those more at the end. And then the final clip of this encounter was the clip of turning the spotlight against Scarecrow. Like I said, that's a recurring element that I will talk more about at the end. And with all the clips from the second encounter covered, let's now move on to the third encounter.
Did anyone catch the game last night?
He don't look so big and scary now, does he, Mr. J?
And a security choker. If you have any questions, please visit us at www.ithinkimgoingcrazy.
Keep moving. Please, you can let us go. We won't try to escape.
I'm not crazy! I shouldn't be here!
Keep those mouths shut.
Batman! Batman, can you hear me? They're taking us outside.
You were
They're
right,
gonna kill us
Mr.
all.
J. Classic Marta
gotta
Gay
help us.
conclusions of
Help us,
grandeur.
please!
Save us, please!
Help me! Someone help me!
Hey, sweetums, you're gonna miss the party!
Cut me free!
Just got to check your prisoner, dear.
Whatever. Just be quick. He's not looking too good.
No, he's not. You should feel sorry for him. He never fully got over his parents' death. It left him quite insane. What is going on inside your head, Wayne? He's gone. Just a twisted shell of a man.
Cut me free!
He's all yours, Joker.
Oh, goody. Come on, Mr. J. We're ready.
I've waited a long time for this, Bats. Let's start the party with a bang.
I think you need a little more. Tell me what demons you have left to beat. Shall we see? Are you enjoying the extra
ingested enough toxins to drive dead men insane. What are you?
Why fight it, Batman? You're as crazy as the rest of us. You need us as much as we need you. And to prove it, I'll flood the catacombs with enough fear gas to break the minds of everyone in Gotham for 100 years.
Okay, so first in this encounter would probably be the fake glitch that you encounter after the announcer asks, "Did anyone catch the game last night?" Which is obviously another sign that, hey, this isn't real. That announcer is either dead or deactivated, depending if it's a person or a robot, because Joker has taken over the asylum. So hearing that is a dead giveaway. But before we have time to even think about that, we are confronted with the fake glitch that everyone talks about when covering this game, which is honestly fair for everyone to talk about it, because it's something that, you know, it's one of those popular things that added controversy to this game. A lot of people hated the game because they took it back to GameStop trying to return it because they thought their disc was bad. I've heard stories of that, at least. I don't know if that's actually true. We're then showed the cutscene of the Joker taking control of the Batmobile. He's got Batman locked up in the back and he's taking him to Arkham Asylum. So we get that cutscene followed by the walk through the first corridor of the game, or hallway of the game, my bad, to where we see that Jim Gordon, Quincy Sharp, Aaron Cash, and some other people have been taken hostage. They have been pretty much arrested by the bad guys, and now they are going to be probably taken off to be sent off with the Joker special, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, we see them in the background. We see Batman tied up in a gurney. We see Zaz pulling the gurney. We see Scarecrow at the end of the hallway. When we reach the end of this hallway, Scarecrow looks us in the eyes and talks about how twisted shell of a man we are, and how we never really got over our parents' death. So that is something I'm going to talk about more at the end of the video, or not at the end of the video, but whenever I get to the breakdown section where I finally lay everything out and I want to talk about everything, deep dive more than face value, then I will talk more about that then. The next thing to talk about is that whenever you finally get through the platforming section, you turn the bat signal against the Scarecrow like you usually do, but then you're given a cutscene. You can see Batman in a physical altercation with Scarecrow, holding on to him, and then Scarecrow just lays the needles into Batman, and now he has given Batman an extra dose of his fear toxin. So Batman is sent back into Joker's world, and something that I want to bring attention to, and this again might just be me overanalyzing or overthinking things, but I like to see it as when you get taken back to his world, the Batman stands there trying to, gather his surroundings to be able to analyze everything, but then he falls. And like I said, I might be overanalyzing this, but I like to think that the fall is symbolic. It's supposed to be he's falling deeper into his fears. So then we fight past the waves of goons that Scarecrow sends our way, which, let me talk about them real quick. And even in earlier encounters, Scarecrow would put his fear toxin into the ground, and then it would spawn more enemies. So maybe that was another parallel of more fear causes more trouble or more enemies for you later on down the road. Like I said, could be overanalyzing. I have a tendency to do that, but maybe it's a sign that when more fear is put in your way, then more enemies and more trouble and something that's going to slow you down is placed in your way. But after you fight through the waves of enemies, after you fight through the first wave of enemies, you turn the first bat signal on. And then after that, you take down one Titan brute, and then the signal on the right turns on, and then you take down one more wave of enemies, and then the third and final bat signal turns on. And I want to say that this is to show that, yes, Batman fell further. he's been given an extra dose. So he has to take 3 bat signals, which I take the bat signals as a sign of willpower, as a sign of strength, as a sign of overcoming. And he has to use 3 because the extra dose has been so much that he has to use 3 to actually be able to overcome his fears, overcome the extra dose of fear toxin that he's been given. Also, something else, I promise this is a quick little note. I want to talk about how whenever you come out of the fear toxin state, you are back in what you know for sure to be the real world. I find it hilarious that there's just bodies of thugs on the ground. You know, they're unconscious, they're not dead bodies, but the bodies of the unconscious villains or goons that we took out while we were under the influence of the fear toxin. So that makes you think, man, Batman is such a good crime fighter that even when he's hallucinating, he's still taking down bad guys. He's still beating the snot out of these dudes, even though he's out of it. He's drugged up. He don't know what he's doing in the real world. All he can see is what's fake. He can't see the real world, but yet the true world still kind of shines through in the fact that he's precise enough to be able to take them down, even though he thinks he's hallucinating them. So I thought that was a pretty cool little detail. Okay, so you guys won't have to worry about my random tangents anymore because I'm finally able to move back to the script. But I do want to take a minute to talk about how these encounters paint Scarecrow in his debut to the Arkham series. This is the first time we've ever seen any character in the Arkham series, much less Scarecrow, who kind of takes a back seat. He's not Joker, he's not Harley Quinn, he's not one of the big bads that we face, but he's still an element. He's still a really important element, if you ask me, to help paint the environment of this game. But I do want to talk about how these encounters paint him, like in the way whenever he was, whenever we first encountered him for the first time ever, and the people were screaming out, "Dr. Crane, please don't do this," and then there is no Dr. Crane, just the Scarecrow. I am just Scarecrow now. But, you know, obviously with a guy who constantly runs around terrorizing those around him, he's not the most sane of the rogues gallery of the Bat. When you think about it, Crane seems to be one of the most twisted and pure evil villains in the DC universe. Joker is a calculated killer clown who messes with people before ultimately ending them. But there's nothing like a mind twister that makes you wonder what's real and what's not. Someone who makes you live through the worst, most painful and fear-causing moments in your life, all in your head. He brings out your deepest fears and turns them against you. Too bad he's not crocodile-proof. Or maybe he is. You know, it doesn't really make sense to me that he survived being attacked by Killer Croc. I mean, I get that we shocked him, but you would think, you know, well, he just got drugged underwater, and I'm sure Killer Croc isn't going to let go anytime soon. He's probably going to death roll and kill the guy. But, you know, I guess he's crocodile-proof because obviously Arkham Knight's big bad is Scarecrow. And I think that game paints him gloriously. It's such a good way to paint the Scarecrow. No longer does he have the cartoonish mask that he has in this game. He literally gets his face ripped off by Scarecrow, or by Killer Croc, and then he just, you know, it's a drape of cloth in front of his face because his face is gone. But yeah, I do find it hard to believe that one of the most resilient men in all of this universe, Batman, gets taken down by Croc as soon as he hits the water, you know, because in the Killer Croc's lair section, there is no fighting back. Once he grabs you, you're done. But Scarecrow, a guy wearing a sack on his head, no, he survives just fine. But yeah, I do find that a little bit hard to believe, but suspension of disbelief, it's the entirety of comics. If everything was literal, then nothing would be fun. That's kind of the whole point. But maybe it was intentional. Maybe him supposedly dying was intentional to show the fear. It's the fear of the unknown. It's a case of xenophobia. You don't know what this guy's capable of because how could he survive Killer Croc? Killer Croc is one of the most deadly of Batman's rogues gallery, but yet this guy survives? How? He is such a weak-looking guy. He's not a guy that fights physically. He's a guy who hides behind his fear toxin. So it makes you wonder, what's he really capable of if he just completely survives this encounter with Killer Croc? But yeah, Scarecrow has to be one of the most interesting and feared Gotham criminals. If you ask me, Scarecrow is one of the best written characters in the series because not only do his actions and words characterize him as the Scarecrow, but they characterize the characters around him. Not only is he such a good character that he shows what kind of person and what kind of writing he has, but he shows what kind of character the Batman is and what kind of character Barbara Gordon is, even though that was technically a hallucination. It does kind of show that I'm talking about that scene in Arkham Knight, but it does kind of show what kind of person he is, and he's such a great character because he shows what kind of persons or people the people are around him. I mean, we don't get to see a scared version of Batman until Dr. Crane brings out the fear toxin, and then Batman is painted in a whole nother light that we've never seen before. So it's something that, it kind of shows what kind of characters are that are around him, what kind of character he is, and that is just such immaculate writing. If a character can characterize themselves and other characters as well, they become more than just a character. They become a story element. So I will say that Scarecrow is a story element in this game. Before we get into the breakdown of each encounter on the Batman, or how it affects the Batman, I do want to talk about how the third encounter is the final encounter. Batman's been exposed to the fear toxin the most, and I want to talk about how it focuses on scaring Batman and the player. This is the one that focuses the most on making the player crap their pants along with the Batman. It's something that's like, oh crap, my game just crashed. I lost who knows however many hours of progress or however many minutes of progress, depending on when the last save was. And that's another case of xenophobia. You don't know when the last save was, but if your game crashed, you better hope it was recent. So it kind of does go to show that the third encounter was the one that focused the most on scaring the crap out of the player and scaring the crap out of the Batman the most. We are now reaching the home stretch of my 6-page script that I wrote for this, and I have went plumb off topic several times, so there have been several times that I have went longer than the script, so it's probably going to end up being longer than what I intentionally planned. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever done something like this, so this last paragraph or section, I should call it, will probably be a little bit funky. It'll probably not be formatted like a usual well-written video essay, but like I said, make sure to let me know in the comments. Make sure you let me know, reach out, and tell me how I can do better, because I've always wanted to do something like this, not as like a career thing, but something I've always wanted to try, something I feel like I could maybe be good at. I'm in an AP literature class in high school, so I am good at writing. I just don't know how to make it sound like, how to make it roll perfectly to where it doesn't sound awkward whenever you read it aloud. So that would be something I would like to work on moving forward to try to help me get better at this kind of hobby that I would enjoy, because like I said, I love comics, I love Batman, I love video games. I can talk about anything if I have like 5 minutes worth of knowledge about it. So like I said, this is something I would enjoy doing moving forward. So in this next section of the video, make sure to keep in mind that if something sounds funny, don't be afraid to go to the comments and let me know. Obviously don't get in there and start talking about how ugly my voice sounds, the country accent and all, but just, I would love to hear some constructive criticism on how I can do better, because I've always wanted to do something like this. I've watched Clown Puncher videos, I've watched Gotham Paladin videos, I've watched Nate videos on Fallout, and I've watched Oxhorn videos on Fallout, and it's been something I've always wanted to try, and I don't think I'm going to be good at it off my first video, but it is something I would like to continue doing moving forward, and obviously improve my skills at it moving forward. All that just to say that, like I said, if you notice something that you think needs to be worked on, or could probably be worded differently, or could probably be formatted differently, like talk about this part first and talk about this part later, just make sure to let me know. And finally, with that long rant out of the way, it's time to review the major recurring elements in each experience with the toxin and talk about what they say about Bruce and Batman as a whole. I'm going to talk about these in the elements in the order I think is best based on what they portray. I just want to preface with that, moving forward, Batman has always been a character fueled by grief, pain, and regret. His origin story is one of the most well-known in all of comics and all of superheroes. It's a cold night in Gotham City. Thomas, Martha, and young Bruce leave the theater after watching The Mask of Zorro. They would have left sooner, but Bruce enjoyed the show. He enjoyed it so much he begged Thomas and Martha to stay behind to sit through the show once again. After waiting and watching the show once again, Thomas worries about having Alfred wait up on them, so they take a shortcut through the alley. An alley called Crime Alley. They make it almost all the way through the alley until a burglar jumps out with a gun and demands the money and pearls from the parents of Bruce. Bruce falls to his knees, grieving over the parents he lost in front of his own face. Although Bruce was in no way responsible for his parents' death, he still blames himself. He kneels there and grieves. Bruce Wayne dies with Thomas and Martha that night. Batman has taken Bruce's place. It's his coping mechanism. But he never truly lets go of his parents' memory or the pain he felt. The birth of the Batman is put directly on our face in Arkham Asylum specifically when the bat symbol lights up at Bruce's knees. He's kneeled there beside the body of his parents, and he dies. There is no more Bruce Wayne, only the Batman. And we are shown the exact moment that the Batman comes to fruition, that the Batman has completely taken over, and how Bruce Wayne has taken the back burner. Bruce Wayne is pretty much dead. It has constantly wrecked his psyche. He is also driven by genuine fear. Even if he keeps the stone-faced wall preventing us from catching his true character, we can still see the fear that drives him, the fear of failure. He has failed several people in his past, people like Barbara and Jason Todd, or some that he had not helped like he planned. He planned on taking Jason in and raising him to be a Robin, to help grieve his parents' deaths, to help turn that grievance into something more than grief, something useful for the world, something to help Gotham. But he fails, and Jason Todd loses his life and is later retconned to be alive, but in A Death in the Family, he loses his life because of his paths meeting with Batman. And Barbara Gordon, we all know the story of the Killing Joke. Barbara Gordon is shot, and it was a lucky guess on the Joker's part that the Commissioner's daughter was Batgirl, but it just so happens that that's who it was, and Batman blames himself for that. He has always been the kind of person to blame himself for something that he can't help. So that is something that helps develop his character, being able to see how he still blames himself for his parents' deaths and for those that get hurt around him. He fears a failure. He fears that he failed Jim and Barbara when he realized Jim was dead, which we later find out isn't real. But the fear hallucination messed with him so much that he tried to reach out to Barbara, and he gets a dial tone. The only response he gets whenever he tries to confess to Barbara that he failed, one of the main things he fears, he gets a dial tone. No, nobody's on the other end of this line. After hearing the dial tone, the reality sets in for Batman and the player. We are stranded. We have no one. The two people that have helped us since we got on this island, the two people that aren't crazy out of their mind on this island trying to kill us, they're gone. Jim is dead, and Barbara is unreachable. We can't reach Oracle. We can't get a hold of her. So it really helps set in the fear for Batman that he is once again alone. He claims to be the kind of sole survivor. He works alone, but we see several times throughout this game, several times throughout other games in the Arkham series, that Batman doesn't work alone. He might say he does, but that's a lie. He works in combination with the GCPD, Jim Gordon, Barbara Gordon. He works in combination with so many people that he does have a support network of those around him. And it really just goes to show what kind of person he is. He still talks about working alone, and I'm sure he wishes he could work alone. Because if he could work alone, there would be no one else to suffer from his failures. Just him. It would only be him to deal with his problems. But this fear of failure, however, started way before he ever even met Jim Gordon. This fear started the night his parents died. He constantly blames himself for the failure to save his parents. And this deep-rooted fear rears its ugly head in the game, because Thomas Wayne's hallucination looks at Bruce in the face and says the following.
Father, you should have stood up to him, son. Like a man.
Although there's no possible way that Bruce could have saved his parents, that's the way he sees things. He sees things that he's a failure. He holds himself to a higher standard than he should, and that's what's caused him so much self-torture. He beats himself up too much when he makes a mistake. This is what makes him such a good hero. He has morals other heroes don't have, some tortures that other heroes don't endure. He's not someone blessed with special powers just because they come from other planets. Looking at you, Clark. He's someone who has hurt and then worked for all of his success as a crime fighter. Someone who is a sign of hope for unlikely and beat down heroes. So with him being a hero, it's simple that his symbol becomes a hopeful notion. What's one thing that can help you overcome your fear? Your willpower. If someone has no willpower, it's simple to see how their fear could get the best of them easily. But Batman is a man of sheer willpower. This is solidified when you realize that the bat signal that he turns on Scarecrow is just the physical representation of Batman's power and courage to overcome his fears. He didn't stop when he found out Jim was dead. He didn't stop when he couldn't reach Oracle. He pressed on, and when he came face to face with this giant hallucination of Scarecrow, he pressed on. He continued until he could turn his courage and willpower into the force that he used to rise to the top. We can even see this early on in Bruce's and Batman's creation specifically, that even when he is kneeling beside his parents' dead corpses, the Batman logo lights at his feet, showing that his willpower and courage all came together at one point, forming this coping mechanism, the Batman. The only downside is that maybe he's taken it too far. He constantly worries that he's taken it too far. Maybe he shouldn't have created an alter ego to cope. Maybe it's driven him too far. Maybe he's just as insane as those he tries so hard to stop. As Scarecrow brings out his deepest inner fears, we can see that the Batman fears that he is just as insane, just a shell of the man that he used to be. The following is a hallucination where nothing is real, but is a personification of Batman's deepest fears.
Too good.
No, he's not. You should feel sorry for him. He never fully got over his parents' death. It left him quite insane. What is going on inside your head, Wayne? He's gone. Just a twisted shell of a man.
This clip being a personification of Batman's inner conscience, or inner subconscious, I should say, really shows that he fears not being sane. He fears being just as insane as everyone he works so hard to stop. He works so hard to stop the Joker because he's insane, therefore he's unpredictable. But what if Batman is just as insane? What if he's not as sane as he thinks he is? What if he never truly did ever get over the death of his parents, which he knows he didn't. He knows he didn't get over the death of his parents, but what if it left him more in shambles than he realized? What if it stopped him from really ever truly being the hero he needs to be because he himself isn't sane? What if he's actually out of his mind? This personification of his subconscious helps the player gain a vision into the inner demons of the man who doesn't show emotions. It personifies his emotions, just like I talked about Scarecrow being such a good character because he characterizes those around him. He shows other characters true inner feelings. It just shows that even though Batman doesn't show emotions, there's other ways to express these emotions and these traumas that Batman has lived through. Without these interactions, we would probably never get to see this side of Batman unless it be with someone that's really close to him, so someone like Alfred or somebody, but Alfred isn't in this game. So Scarecrow really helps as a catalyst to let us see who Batman truly is. Who is the Bat? What makes the Bat tick? He is a well-oiled machine, but every machine has a weakest link, and that weakest link just so happens to be his subconscious. He fears not being as sane as he thinks he is. If someone was to ever ask me, what is the Batman superpower? The only thing I could ever say would be his sheer ability to overcome with his willpower. He can overcome anything thrown his way because he just doesn't give up. He doesn't know when to quit, and that is his best trait. The Batman, he's just a man, but just because he never gives up, he never fails. He always brings in a good audience in the comic book, and he always sells good as a comic book because someone knows that he might be Batman and he will get the snot beaten out of him. He's not invulnerable, he's not invincible, but he will overcome. That's his greatest ability, is his ability to move forward, to overcome, and to adapt. He is a force of nature to be reckoned with just because he doesn't give up. You might be able to stop him now. You might be able to slow him down. You won't even stop him. You'll slow him down. But once he gets free, once he figures out how to get past any roadblock, it's over. It's done. The Batman will win every time because he does not give up. This sheer willpower is even noted by the Scarecrow. The Scarecrow sees this true willpower. So, when in the third encounter, when we get to the first bat signal and we turn it against him, Batman momentarily breaks free of this hallucination. He comes back to reality, and we can see that Batman has Scarecrow by the neck. He's got him by the skin of his teeth. He's got him right there. But Scarecrow injects him again, and then Batman is sucked back in. But when Batman finally breaks out of this grandiose illusion for the second time, after being injected with more fear toxin than any normal person would be able to withstand, any group of people would be able to withstand, the Scarecrow has the following to say.
How are you doing this? You've ingested enough toxins to drive dead men insane. What are you? Why fight it, Batman? You're as crazy as the rest of us. You need us as much as we need you.
We can see even the Scarecrow realizes that the Batman has more willpower than any normal person should. The Batman is able to withstand doses of his fear toxin that normal people should just kill normal people flat out. Like, not kill them flat out, but they would go insane to the point where they would die, pretty much. But something that I really love about that line from Scarecrow is he says, "What are you?" He's starting to question if Batman's even a man, because what kind of man has so much willpower and ability to resist negative things that he can just completely resist this much fear toxin. This much fear toxin would have drove 10 men insane, as Scarecrow says. But then he questions, what are you? Because you can't be a normal man if you can withstand all of this. No normal person can withstand this much of my toxin. But a line at the end that I love, that I don't know if it's actually Scarecrow saying it, because it's after he injects Batman with even more fear toxin. Mind you, he's been injected 3 times by this point, so this could be a hallucination and, again, a representation of Batman's fears. He says, Scarecrow says as he's running away, "Face it, Batman, you're just as crazy as the rest of us. You need us as much as we need you." So that really puts a spotlight on the fact that maybe Batman is just as insane as he figures he is. Maybe he is just like these villains. So it really makes you wonder, is this Scarecrow actually saying it, or is it Batman's subconscious rearing its ugly head again because his subconscious is filled with demons? He worries that maybe he isn't a totem of just resistance and power. Maybe he really is insane. Maybe he's just like the people he fights so hard to stop. So that's a line that I really love, because it makes you think either it's the Scarecrow saying it and he realizes that Batman is crazy, or that he could be crazy just like everyone else, or it's another personification of Batman's deepest, darkest fear, that he is just like everyone else that he tries to stop. Something I want to touch on really quick, I think I've talked about it already, but the use of 3 bat signals in the end of the third encounter, I think it goes to show that he has to use more willpower because he's been injected with more toxin. But like I said, Batman is a force of nature. He doesn't give up. So he turns 3 bat signals against Scarecrow to finish him off. And that seals the deal. He breaks free enough to finally be able to chase Scarecrow down into Croc's lair. But it just goes to show that the Scarecrow injects him with more fear toxin, but he has to use more willpower, personified or objectified by their embodiment of the 3 bat signals, but he still uses all 3, and he overcomes, and he does finally take out the Scarecrow. Again, I'm going to mention this one more time before I wrap up the video. If there is something I need to work on, if I need to work on my audio mixing, because I'm new to the audio mixing. I'm recording my audio in the Wondershare Filmora editor. I mean, and I know some people don't do it that way, and I'm sure most people don't do it that way, but it's the easiest way I could find. And if there is an easier way or a better way, make sure to let me know. If somebody does know, make sure to let me know. Make sure if my editing isn't the best, which I know it's not going to be. It's, as of right now, it's literally just going to be my gameplay playing in the background as I talk in the background. And I might add in a little bit of royalty-free music, but that'll just be to cover up me swallowing or something. But yeah, if there's something that I need to work on, some changes to my editing I need to make, some changes to my voiceover that I need to make sure to let me know. And you know, this is a big, ambitious project for somebody to make their first ever YouTube video that they've put effort into to be, as of right now, 57 minutes and 20 seconds long. So, it's really just a really big project. Well, I mean, it could obviously be bigger, but for someone who has no experience with an editor software, somebody that has no experience with the voiceover, somebody that has no experience with the YouTube studio and stuff like that, if there's stuff that I can work on to make my videos better, please be sure to let me know, because I will take any constructive criticism to help me do better at this. Like I said, it's not something I plan on turning into a career. Is it something I would enjoy doing? Yes, it is, 100%. I grew up with this series. I love this series, and anyone who brings it up to me in person or on call, they hate it, because I will sit here and talk about these games for hours. I will talk circles around myself. I look like Amadeus Arkham. I didn't go dizzy. I went crazy. I was just sitting there drawing circles on the walls. I mean, I just go around and around because I love these games so much. They're so amazing to me. But yeah, I mean, my original script was 4,468 words, but this script incorporated the actual clips of the gameplay a whole lot more than my rough draft did. So I'm down to 1,756 words. So that's definitely a big step down, and I'm kind of glad I did it, because based off that math, you know, to get from 1,700 to 4,400, it's really not that big of a math thing there. It'd have been, what, I don't know, almost 4 times as long. So I'm really glad I took the step down, but if it would have been better not to use the game clips, then be sure to let me know, like I said. But yeah, thanks for watching. This was my first ever video essay, first ever kind of YouTube video that I've put any real good effort into. If anyone wants to see more videos like this on other games or other games in the series or other characters in Arkham Asylum, if someone wants me to cover a different game, be sure to let me know. If you have any different take on what I said, also be sure to let me know in the comments, because I would love to talk about it. Like I said, I could talk circles around myself to the moon and back talking about this game, because I just love this game so much. This game is the best Arkham game in my personal opinion. Like I said, I'm strongly biased because I grew up with this game. This is the game of my childhood. So, like I said, if you've got a different take on anything I said, if you see something a different way, if you partially agree, if you mostly agree, be sure to let me know. You know, I would love to talk about it at all, you know. It'd be great. I at least hope this ambitious project of mine, that spur of the moment, really. Well, not spur of the moment. I've been working on the script alone for just 3 days. So, if anybody wants to let me know how I did, this was a really ambitious project that I was playing Arkham Asylum on my 360 the other day, and I was like, you know what? I want to talk about Scarecrow because he popped out to me on that playthrough as such a good character. So I wanted to talk about him, and I felt like I could maybe turn it into a little bit of a decent YouTube video. So I thought about it, and I said, hey, I'll make a script. I know a lot of people go off the scripts, so I'll make a script and go off the script. So that's what I did. I loosely talked exactly what the script said. I went off topic a whole lot more than I should have. But like I said, my total script right now is 1,756 words. I'm starting out with 0 subscribers. So I'm really hoping that this video could attract in some people who enjoy this game as much as I do, or someone who enjoys the Arkham series as much as I do. I don't know everything about the Arkham series. I would love to learn everything about the Arkham series. I have a love for this series that can't be matched by any other series. Yeah, Fallout would probably be a really close second. It's probably my second favorite video game series of all time, but nothing even comes close to the Arkham series. So I'm hoping that this will bring the attention of people who enjoy the series, or are maybe new to the series, or seasoned veterans to the series that would love to talk about this series, because I just have such a fondness for this series that that cannot be matched by any other game series of all time. This is my game series. When I think of a game, when I think of a franchise, I think of this franchise. I grew up with this franchise. I grew up with this Batman. Like I said, this is my version of Batman. So if anyone would like to talk about this version of Batman, I'm 100% down, because it's what I enjoy. It's my version of Batman. If you have a different take, if you have anything, be sure to let me know. And yeah, that's about it. And this is going to be a wrap on my first ever project. So if you watch this long, I highly doubt anyone's going to watch an hour and 3 minutes as of right now of pretty much incoherent ramblings of someone who's brand new to YouTubing. But yeah, if you did, thank you so very much. I appreciate it more than you realize. But if you didn't, if you just skipped to the end to see what I said, thanks for clicking on the video anyway. Like I said, I appreciate this series. I appreciate anybody who's clicked on the video. I appreciate anybody. So, thanks.